Hello everyone, greetings from India. I am Thomas Panichikal and I'll be presenting our paper titled via Glasses-Based Measurement of Response to Dichoptic Stimuli, a Potential Tool for Quantifying Amblyopia. This paper is co-authored by Professor Ramakrishnan, Head of my lab, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and Dr. Manjana KP, Pediatric Ophthalmologist and Director, Netra Eye Hospital, Bangalore, India. What we are going to see in the next 10 minutes. I'll start by explaining what amblyopia is, followed by a quick run through on how amblyopia is currently clinically diagnosed. After that, we'll see what is missing in the current clinical evaluation technique and how we address those limitations in a proposed method. Let's jump in. Amblyopia is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects vision. The word amblyopia is derived from two Greek words, amblyx and ops, which together means dim vision. For a person suffering from amblyopia, the visual inputs from the amblyopic eye or AE is suppressed at the brain. Statistically, amblyopia is the most common cause of vision loss in children. Studies have shown that there is better prognosis if amblyopia is diagnosed and treated early. Let's see what causes amblyopia in the first place. There are three major causes of amblyopia. First is anisometropia, where two eyes are different refractive powers. Second is strabismus, where two eyes are not aligned with each other. Third, under arrest, is an obstruction to the visual axis due to complete ptosis, cataract, etc. Irrespective of the cause, amblyopia, if untreated, can lead to loss of stereopsis, that is our ability to perceive depths, and vision loss. Clearly, having amblyopia is bad and we need to diagnose and treat it. Let's see how amblyopia is currently clinically diagnosed. Currently, there are two types of clinical diagnosis protocols for amblyopia. The first is based on visual acuity and this has two components. First, the patient must have a condition that can cause amblyopia. These include anisometropia, complete ptosis, etc. And these are often referred to as amblyogenic risk factor. Second, the patient must have residual asymmetric acuity beyond the level expected from the underlying condition or that persists even after the treatment of the underlying condition. The second protocol is for children for whom visual acuity tests are not feasible. In this, the fixation preference of the child is used for diagnosis. The question is, are we missing something in this diagnosis protocol? Unfortunately, we are. What about the grade of amblyopia? A tool for quantifying amblyopia can help us in identifying the efficacy of treatments for amblyopia. Though visual acuity based tests can give some quantitative information about the grade of amblyopia, the grading is very coarse. Also, the test is not very useful in case of bilateral amblyopia. Coming to fixation preference test, it is only a qualitative measure and hence cannot be used for grading amblyopia. Moreover, many studies have shown that the fixation preference test results are unreliable. So, we need a diagnostic tool that can quantify the level of suppression or the grade of amblyopia. In addition, it would be great if the tool is child friendly because amblyopia is more common in children and as we have seen, there is better prognosis if amblyopia is treated early. Let's get into details of the proposed method and see how it addresses these limitations. The proposed method makes use of VR glasses and dichoptic stimuli presentation. A mobile phone and a pair of VR glasses are used for presenting cartoon characters dichoptically. Using VR glasses ensures that the left eye visual field and the right eye visual field are completely separated. A subject undergoing a test is shown in the screen. He is wearing a pair of VR glasses with a mobile phone inside. He is also holding a mobile phone for registering his responses. An example of dichoptic presentation of cartoon characters using VR glasses is also shown. All the cartoon characters used in this tool are in grayscale and of uniform dimensions. The cartoon characters are chosen based on their popularity among children. In the protocol, we measure how accurately the subject is able to recognize the cartoon character. Due to symmetric intraocular suppression, normal subjects will have comparable accuracies in both eyes, whereas for amblyopic subjects, the amblyopic eye is expected to have a lower accuracy. The exit protocol is as follows. Ready screen is shown at the beginning for a duration of 1 second, after which the target screen is shown, followed by the masking screen. The masking screen is used to prevent any after image effects. After the masking screen, a similar screen is present for a duration of 150 milliseconds, followed by the response screen. If one of the characters presented dichoptically, the stimulus screen is same as the binocularly presented character in the target screen. The subject has to touch anywhere on the screen on the mobile phone in his or her hand to record the response. An end screen is shown after 60 trials. The total duration of 60 trials is less than 8 minutes. The software for stimulus presentation is programmed such that out of the 60 trials, the cartoon character presented in a target screen will be same as one of the characters presented in the stimulus screen. This protocol was tested on 2 cohorts of participants. Let's see the details of the participants. The first cohort consists of 53 subjects with normal vision and no strabismus. This criterion was chosen to ensure that the participants are not amblyopia. Cohort 2 consists of 6 amblyopia children. 4 of them had anisometropia, 1 has strabismus, and 1 had both anisometropia and strabismus. Let's see how the participants performed in a test. The accuracies of left and right eyes for the participants in cohort 1 are shown here. The accuracy values of left and right eyes are statistically equivalent as shown by two one-sided titers. The mean value of the difference between the accuracies is 3.6 percentage points. One may argue that the accuracies do not reflect suppression but only the cognitive load of the task. To verify this, the control subjects also underwent a monocular task in which the cartoon characters were monocularly presented. The mean accuracy is higher by 20% in this case, clearly indicating that the reduction in accuracy during dichotic presentation is due to intraocular suppression. The results in case of amblyopic subjects are shown here. Except for participant BM04, the accuracy of the amblyopic eye is much less than that of the fellow eye. Higher accuracy for fellow eye and lower accuracy for amblyopic eye is expected since the input from the amblyopic eye is suppressed at the brain. In the proposed metric, the difference between the accuracies of fellow eye and amblyopic eye gives the measure of suppression or the grade of amblyopia. In the case of amblyopic subjects, the mean value of the difference between the accuracies is 7.8 percentage points, more than twice that of the normal subjects. To conclude, the proposed method is the first work to make use of VR glasses and dichotic presentation of cartoon characters for grading amblyopia. It is child-friendly. In fact, the children who participated in the study enjoyed it and often demand for more sessions. The entire tool is cost-effective. The entire hardware, including mobile phones and VR glasses, costs less than $150. The software for both seamless presentation and response capture were developed in-house in our lab. The setup is highly portable and neither requires any specific lighting setup nor has any constraints on the dimension of the room. This should be contrasted with the usual visual actuators which requires dimly lit rooms of specific dimension. Also, the setup works on battery and hence doesn't require an external power supply. In the paper, we have also shown using statistical analysis on empirical data that there is symmetry in intraocular suppression in case of normal subjects. We have also shown that the proposed method can measure symmetry or asymmetry in intraocular suppression. We believe that the tool we developed can be used for cost-effective grading of amblyopia, which will, in turn, help in providing proper treatment for those suffering from amblyopia. Thank you.